again, everyone. Welcome back to Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast, and occasionally other podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Charles Skaggs, back in Ghostwood Forest, ready to talk some X-Files with my wonderful co-host, wonderful partner on Ghostwood, and soon-to-be future drunk cinema reviewer, Xan Sprouse. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Charles. How are you? Yeah, we're thinking that we should maybe put my day drinking skills to better use. So
to use your powers for good instead of
use
evil.
My powers for good instead of sleeping.
Well, gee, anything we could do to contribute to your alcoholism.
Yeah, I mean,
there you go.
If
not to make fun of alcoholism, because it's a very serious disease, but
it is a very serious disease, and 2020 is a very serious year. And I have made jokes that alcoholism is my new hobby, and unfortunately, it's not a joke that much. I mean,
maybe we should do PSAs afterward.
We should do PSAs afterwards, and just we are professionals,
right? Don't try this at home, kids.
Don't try this at home, and we're going to be we discussed this. We're going to be doing this not on a school night,
right.
So we'll still be able to go to our jobs and feed ourselves and have hygiene, and our spouses will still want to live with us. So
yeah.
There's
not getting rid of me that easily, Lori. Sorry about your luck.
Yeah. See, we can feed you as many drinks as possible, but you're going to still be around for Lori. That's the thing, is it's not. This is going to be a high functioning alcoholism.
Right. Exactly.
That's my plan.
There you go.
So.
Yeah. Kind of like,
because you got to have goals.
Kind of like Sherlock Holmes being a high-functioning sociopath. So, yeah.
Right. He's a high-functioning sociopath. He's not hurting anybody, except he's breaking hearts. Breaking hearts all over the place. But, it's his loss.
Now I feel like a country song should come on.
Well.
Anyway.
Sure. Broken Heart Sherlock.
Yeah, why not? I don't know. Let's just roll with it.
The fiddle solo in Broken Heart Sherlock. There we go.
So here at episode 85, Xan and I are going to be talking Revelations.
Before we talk about that, Charles.
Yes, before we talk about that, I know exactly where you're going to be going with this, so go ahead.
We have some bad news.
Once again,
we have bad news.
We are like the bearers of bad tidings,
mm-hmm.
especially regarding Twin Peaks actors.
Yeah. Charlie did not make it to the Roadhouse.
No. Sadly.
Clark Middleton passed this week.
Yes.
From complications from West Nile virus.
Right.
So, holy shit, 2020.
Right. For everybody freaking out about the coronavirus, and understandably so.
Yeah. Don't forget to swat the hell away all of those mosquitoes coming near your house.
Exactly.
Get rid of that. Get rid of your standing water.
Right.
Don't leave sugar out. Yeah.
Stay away from creeks during the dry periods.
Yeah. Apparently, we have coronavirus, murder hornets, and now West Nile virus.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, West Nile virus is over in the corner going, hey, what about me? Hello?
Hey, I'm still here, you guys. But yes, Clark Middleton passed
away.
You guys?
Yeah.
Very unexpected, very sad state of affairs.
Yeah, he died at the age of 63 on October 4th, 2020.
Too young. We will remember him as being a mysterious enigma. Who was he to Audrey? Were they actually married? Was he her doctor? Is he a figment of her imagination? We'll never know. All we know is that he's really not all that interested in finding Billy.
Yep. Sadly, his story has ended.
His story has sadly ended, yes.
Yeah, he ended his own story, apparently.
He was tired.
Yeah, but, he's going
to need his coat if he's going to go to the Roadhouse, Audrey.
Exactly. Hopefully he got his coat.
Yes.
For leaving this mortal plane.
Right, because he needs his coat if he's going to go out. So
Clark Middleton, in addition to playing Charlie on Twin Peaks: The Return, he's a big genre vet.
Yeah, big genre character actor.
He's been in Kill Bill Volume 2, Sin City, the Snowpiercer movie from 2013.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Birdman. And I guess I didn't watch The Blacklist, but he's apparently a very popular character on The Blacklist.
Did not see that either.
Yeah. Fringe. He was great on Fringe.
Yeah, he was on Fringe.
Gotham, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and recently American Gods.
He's been all over the place.
So, on top of many, many other things. So,
yeah.
I was very sad to read that news. I tried to share it with everybody in advance. If you follow our Facebook and Twitter pages.
That's how I found out about it.
Yes.
I was kind of off the internet for the weekend of my anniversary, and then when I came back on, I was like, "What, Charlie?"
Yeah. Happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Belated, but yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, this is why it's important to like and follow us on the social media thing, because
You get really depressing news.
you get really depressing news. Exactly. How great is that, right? So rest in peace, Clark Middleton. Rest in power, my friend. And I guess we'll see you on the other side.
I hope you tell us where Billy is.
Yeah. Or at least tell us why Audrey woke up and looked in the mirror and was horrified by what she saw.
Yeah, just maybe you can help us. But yes, our hearts go out to his family.
Or at least tell us how you guys hooked up and got married.
Are you even married?
Are you even married?
Like I said,
yeah.
Is she having some sort of weird fever dream where he's her doctor or somebody who is in whatever facility that she is being cared for during her 25-year coma? I don't know.
Yeah.
What's up with Charlie? And now we'll never know.
I was reading up on Clark Middleton. Apparently he had like rheumatoid arthritis at a very young age.
Oh, which is horrible.
Right.
That is an insidious disease. Anybody who's suffering from that knows.
Yeah, but especially juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, RA.
Ugh.
So,
Not cool.
Yeah, not cool. So our deepest sympathies to him in his memory, and also to his family and his friends and fans, obviously.
And yes, and all of his fans and everybody out there who,
Exactly.
we don't get to watch him anymore, which is very sad. So, but yeah, I just wanted to...
Everybody put on your coat, go to the Roadhouse, and pour one out for Clark Middleton.
Yeah, put on your coat and go to the Roadhouse, because of course you need your coat if you're going to the Roadhouse.
Right. And don't get sleepy.
I'm very sleepy, Audrey. I have a lot of work to do. So, yeah.
Yeah.
F you, Charlie. Here's to Billy.
Yeah.
Last time it was here's to Billy, now it's here's to Charlie.
Here's to Charlie.
Here's to Charlie.
All right.
So I just wanted to give a shout out to that, because that
No,
was
I'm glad you did. I had it right here in my notes if you did.
very unexpected, very sad news. And I like to bring things down as early as possible so we can lift back up.
Well, exactly. And what better way to do that, as I try to segue out of this,
is by watching Kenneth Welsh be yet another obsessed psychopath.
Yeah, great, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, here at episode 85, like I said, we're talking Revelations, the 11th episode of X-Files season 3 from December 15th, 1995, written by Kim Newton, who also wrote another episode, Quagmire, and then this was directed by David Nutter once again, who we talked about that he directed Beyond the Sea and Shapes.
Uh-huh.
But this was his very last episode that he directed for the X-Files.
Really? Throughout all the seasons?
Throughout all seasons. This is it. He only did three seasons on the X-Files.
Interesting. Where did he go after that?
But because he apparently felt that there was other directors, like Kim Manners, that could had the show, and it was in good hands.
I mean, David Nutter's great and everything, but
Yeah.
Kim Manners, the late, great Kim Manners was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, he's gone on to do other things. Like he's done, we talked about
everything.
A bunch of CW, DC comic shows and whatnot. And
yeah, he's been all over. So
he's a great director. All right. And of
I
course,
just wondered if he left for something specific in '95. Like,
I don't know. I didn't write that down.
Did he go over to Space 1990? Not
Space Above and Beyond.
Space Above and Beyond. Good God.
Maybe. No, actually, you know what? I bet he went over to Millennium.
That would make sense.
Right?
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
That would be my guess. Anyway,
My apologies for being the
yeah, no, that's okay.
typical middle-aged person that confuses names of things. I really don't want to be that in my life, but sometimes that just happens.
I hate to break it to you, it happens even more as you get older.
Yeah, and also, Charles,
which is nice.
We already established that today was a day drinking day for me. So
that's true. You are kind of playing with a handicap today.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So which should make for a really great podcast, right?
It would. It would make for a great podcast, especially if we talked about something like, I don't know, Batman 1989.
Yeah, but I'm thinking this particular podcast that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna probably elevate that, I think, a little bit.
It's gonna be pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so we'll see.
No, I had to drive home, so I am sober, but I am.
I would hope so.
You know, Audrey, I'm really sleepy.
So, Xan, if you pass out during this podcast, should I wake you up? It's not going to really say a lot for our charisma if you fall asleep while we're talking.
It's gonna be like that episode of Parks and Rec where Ron Swanson is on that morning show and the host just passes out and he just takes phone calls. She's just on the floor asleep.
I'm getting vibes of Anchorman going, like Xan going like
Scotch.
Scotch. I love Scotch.
I love Scotch. Go F yourself, Seattle.
Yeah, this could be a very interesting show.
This could be.
So
yeah.
strap in, kids. We're going for a ride.
You're right. Also, just to put it out there, I don't drink Scotch.
Okay.
You know why?
Why?
Because I'm an American and I drink bourbon. Thank you very much.
Our friend Jesse Jackson, friend of the show, would definitely appreciate that because he's a big bourbon guy.
Yeah, I'm big on the bourbon. So, brownest of the brown liquors.
Yeah.
And there we have our Simpsons quote for the day.
I actually have another Simpsons reference to make in a minute.
Excellent.
So, guest cast, we have, of course, the great Kenneth Welsh.
Yep.
Wyndham Earle himself from Twin Peaks.
Wyndham Earle.
Playing Simon Gates, the big bad of this episode. He was also, obviously Kenneth Welsh, been in a lot of different things. He was in The Day After Tomorrow, in addition to Twin Peaks. He was in The Aviator, which is a great little movie. I kind of like that one, with Kate Blanchett, Leonardo DiCaprio, and others. Interestingly, Time Cop, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Oh my God, I love that movie so much.
I kind of dug that. Was one of the movies that I kind of watched in college.
Well, it's one of those. It's time travel.
Exactly. So I'll
watch anything that's time travel.
Yeah. The guy who, co-hosts the Doctor Who podcast. Yeah, I
think that's in your wheelhouse, isn't it?
Just a little bit. Just a
little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But he was also in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Yeah, it's not good.
Smallville, the 2010 version of Human Target, and he was also recently in The Expanse.
He was in The Expanse.
So among other things, but those are some
other things.
Those are some geek cred that I thought were.
Have I told you the among other things story, Charles?
No, I don't believe so.
Unfortunately, I was not here for this, so this is a secondhand story from Chris. But he was at a convention.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Harris was there.
Oh, yeah.
Jonathan Harris, Dr. Smith himself.
Right.
And
the pain.
The pain of it all.
You big booby.
So, you know how when you're at conventions, there'll be overhead announcements, hey kids, make sure you come see blah, 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 whoever.
Right.
So they were doing this overhead announcement talking about everybody who was doing autographs. And we have Jonathan Harris, who played Dr. Smith on Lost in Space, and he rolls his eye in perfect Dr. Smith motion, rolls his eyes and sighs and goes, among other things. Like, okay, a Twilight Zone and a Bug's Life. Okay, what next, Jonathan Harris? What else? Would anybody at this convention give a rat's ass about that you were in besides those three things?
Right.
But yeah, just very that's totally put out with among other things. So great. I'm so sad that I missed that.
That's a great anecdote.
I know, isn't that great?
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, totally Chris's. I can't take any credit for it, but it's something that we've said through the entirety of our relationship.
That's okay. You're married. You're allowed to steal from him. That's nobody.
Well, it's sharing. Cool. It's
That's right. It's common property.
It's sharing among spouses. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all right. We also had Kevin Zegers as Kevin Kreider in this one.
Right.
And years later, he turned up on Fear the Walking Dead, Grace Point, which was the U.S. version of Broadchurch. Which was not nearly as good as Broadchurch, even though both shows had David Tennant playing the same character.
Both very good. Grace Point did have Nick Nolte.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Which I always enjoy watching Nick Nolte. Yeah. They were both. It's weird for me when you have something like that. Charles, you and I were talking before we started recording about the difference between the American Office and the British Office.
Exactly.
And when you have something like The Office, where you're taking a concept and making that into a long-running series, that's a little easier for me than taking something that is a standalone closed story.
Right.
And just doing an American version of it, especially since Broadchurch is English.
Exactly.
It's not like you're taking a Polish TV show and redoing it in English rather than dubbing it. I mean, this is already shot in English. Why can't we just broadcast that one?
I've never understood that.
I don't get that. Now, if there was something like
that, I'm sure because it was aired on Fox, so I'm sure Fox is thinking, well, American audiences wouldn't appreciate the Britishness of this.
And that's
Which
true
is
for some
ignorant.
people. It is ignorant, but it's true for some people. But
Yeah.
at the same time, those people who wouldn't appreciate it wouldn't want to watch that kind of a show in the first place.
Yeah.
Now, for example, Chris and I have joked about how The Bill is basically England's Law and Order.
Yeah.
Because it's been going on for so long and everybody has guest starred on it.
Well, they also have Law and Order UK over there.
They have Law and Order UK, but it's the detective show that everyone has guest starred on.
Yeah.
So
I understand, yeah.
We'll be watching something, there'll be a British actor, I'll say, what else has he been in? And Chris will be like, $10 he was in The Bill, and Chris always wins the $10.
Yeah.
So when you have something like that where it's a concept that you can take and run with, that makes more sense to me. But when you have this enclosed storyline and all you're doing is remaking it 4 years after it originally aired, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Actually, the American version of The Bill would probably be Law and Order Special Victims Unit, because everybody because I do all these casting things all the time for the various podcasts, and 9 times out of 10, these actors have. It's almost like a requirement that in order to be on a geek TV show, you have to have done Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
Yeah, everyone has guest starred on it at some point in time.
Exactly.
So it's I get something that's a long running series, but I don't get. And like I said, everybody in Grace Point did a good job. It was fine. It just wasn't. It didn't hold my attention that much. Yeah. Because I'd seen it already.
Well, and it was also kind of like it felt like the sanitized American version.
It kind of did, yeah.
Of British drama. And, I mean, it was great that Tennant was willing to essentially redo Broadchurch all over again, but it was kind of like the Diet Coke of Broadchurch. It was the the quasi-Broadchurch. 1 calorie Broadchurch, not Broadchurch enough.
Yeah, it kind of tastes like Broadchurch.
Yeah.
And it tastes enough like it that you know what it's going to taste like when you get there.
Yeah, exactly. It's
not all that new, and so I just everybody did a good job in it. I just did not see the point. Yeah, that was the long and short of it for me. Right.
So Sam Bottoms, who plays Michael Kreider, Kevin's father, he's got an impressive resume. He was in Apocalypse Now, The Outlaw Josie Wales, and The Last Picture Show.
He was in The Last Picture Show. Okay.
Apparently. Yep.
Interesting.
According to IMDb. Haley Tyson played Susan Kreider. Michael Berryman is obviously a big actor of note for cult films.
Can we keep this between us? I'd hate to lose my teaching job.
So Michael Berryman. Go ahead.
Michael Berryman most people can just refer to him as the Hills Have Eyes guy. Mm-hmm. But I love him in Weird Science.
Yep. That was one of the things. Those were 2 of the movies that I had down.
I hate to lose my teaching job. That is so freaking funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that is just such a clever thing to say.
So Michael Berryman plays Owen Jarvis in this episode.
Yep.
And he was also in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
He's been every freaking where.
And you talked about Hills of Eyes and Weird Science. He's also in Star Trek 4 and 5.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was one of Cybok's guys in Star Trek 5, his minions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And he was also on the TV series Penny Dreadful, which I loved.
Oh, was he on that? Okay.
Yeah, he was. Like you said, he's been everywhere, man.
He's been everywhere. Yeah, he's fabulous.
Yep. So, obviously a very distinctive character actor.
Yes.
And I've got some trivia about him. When we get to our trivia section about his role on the X-Files.
Oh, not just him. You have topical trivia.
Trivia, relevant trivia. I try to make it relevant a little bit.
Even better.
Even though I'm not relevant, I try to make the trivia relevant.
Well, Charles, the very nature of trivia is irrelevant in itself.
That's true. Well, yeah, I guess, but I see trivia as more minutia, but
true.
Yeah.
True. Not necessarily. Yeah, you're right. It's not necessarily irrelevant, but unnecessary.
Yeah.
Which is why it's great.
So lastly, but certainly not leastly, R. Lee Ermey as Reverend Patrick Finley. So this guy has been, again, also a lot of other places. Mm-hmm. probably know him, at least his voice, from playing Sarge in the Toy Story movies.
Yep.
You know, the
Sarge in the Toy Story
leader
movies.
of the Army Men, the Green Army Men.
When they leave, garage sale, we're leaving. We're the first to go.
Yep. He was also in the movie Seven.
He was in the movie Seven. He's
one
probably
of my favorite
known.
movies. Yes.
That's one of my favorite moments of his, where he just answers the phone. This ain't even my desk, and then just hangs up the phone.
Yes, that was a great moment.
I love that moment, but he's probably best known.
Maybe we should talk about that on our podcast.
I think we should. For his role in Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket.
Yep, that was next on my list. Yep.
Uh-huh.
He was also
because if you've ever said, "What is your major malfunction, numbnuts?" he's why you say that.
Yep, that's the line. He was also in Mississippi Burning, Fletch Lives, X-Men The Last Stand, the X-Men The Last Stand, believe it or not.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, Xan would recognize him as Colonel Leslie Habablap.
Colonel Habablap.
Habablap, yeah.
We're going to tear through this place fast. We're going to find this guy faster than Garfield finds lasagna. I'm sorry. My wife thought that was gangbusters. I'm going to tear you up like a Kleenex at a snot party. Corpse you up and send you home to mama. Yeah, they're all fabulous.
Yeah. I had a feeling.
Just sprayed engine. What is it?
I knew Xan would have some quotes on that, and of course she did not disappoint.
Just got to.
All I had to say was Hapablap.
Yeah, Hapablap. That fool McGucket just sprayed engine cooler all over Chuck Yeager's Acura. Yeah.
Yep. And lastly, and I thought this was note because I'm a comics geek. He did the voice of DC Comics superhero Wildcat on the Batman the Brave and the Bold animated series.
Did he really? Oh, that's cool. I did not remember that.
Yeah, so.
And did you mention the Frighteners, Charles? Because
I did not, because I didn't realize he was in the Frighteners. Yeah.
I am not one of your shitty little emanations, Bannister. Yes, he's the like the drill sergeant that keeps everybody in the graveyard in line.
Right.
Like he just can't leave that part of his personality behind. So
makes sense.
He's also in the Frighteners. So yeah, and he's always wonderful. Whenever he's in anything, he's always wonderful.
Yeah, he is. And obviously he has a hugely distinctive voice. I mean, just
very much so. Yeah.
That drill sergeant voice, which is why he's Sarge in just about every military movie that he's in, even Toy Story.
Dude was for real a Marine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was legit. So
he doesn't just play one on TV. He was legit a Marine. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the receipts to back that up. All right, trivia. So this was the very first episode to really discuss Scully's faith, her Catholic faith, in depth.
Right.
That's something obviously we're going to talk about when we get into the episode discussion. The story idea for Revelations was inspired by, and apologies to Nick if I'm mispronouncing this, Francesco Furione, a friar, priest, and mystic of the Roman Catholic Order of Friars Minor Capuchin, who experienced stigmata beginning in 1918 until his death in 1968. He was canonized as a Roman Catholic saint in 2002.
I would not loan that guy one of my books. I'll tell you that for sure.
Nope.
Yeah.
Especially, if he's like...
Ooh, can I borrow your first edition? Don't touch it.
Yeah, and especially if he's like Simon Gates and he has the burning hands.
I'm just thinking if he had stigmata for that amount of time, he was just constantly moist and bloody. Poor guy.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hopefully at least, stop by the store and get some pads for that, I guess. Some sort
of bandage.
Something to absorb that.
Because that's an interesting
Bounty paper towels, at least.
Yeah, you're gonna need something. Stigmata is an interesting phenomenon, Charles, because, and this is gross.
Yes.
There have been some studies done about Christ on the cross and how.
Well, first, why don't you explain stigmata for people who don't know?
For people who don't know stigmata is when you have inexplicable wounds on the palms of your hands that supposedly mimic the wounds of the nails that Jesus was nailed to the cross with.
Or other wounds, like the wound on your side or something.
Right, anything like that. But most of the time, most of the time it manifests in your hands like the nails on the cross.
Yes.
But there's been a lot of there's a lot of skepticism around stigmata because, like I said, and this is gross, there have been people that have studied the concept of Jesus being nailed to the cross, and they've used corpses.
Mm-hmm.
And when you nail corpses to wood through the hand, the nail just falls out.
Yeah, exactly.
There's too much.
Yeah.
There's too much connective
tissue
thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so the nail just falls out. So there are a lot of religious scholars who believe that.
Well, especially as the corpse decays and decomposes.
After 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Jesus.
Right.
So there are a lot of religious scholars who believe that Jesus was in fact nailed to the cross by his wrists.
Right.
So,
because there's that bone in your hand that would probably catch the nail.
Right. So there's a lot of controversy around stigmata as to whether or not it is an actual miraculous phenomenon or if somebody's just full of it. So
that's interesting.
Which is why I think it's a good topic for the X-Files, because it's very much
unexplained phenomenon.
It's an unexplained phenomenon, and it's a lot like psychic surgery or anything else that is supposed to be this sort of, I don't want to say religious-based, because I'm not trying to say that anything religious-based is full of it. I'm just trying to say that there are certain things that are faith-based in your the requirement to believe in it is faith-based.
Yes.
And it's usually...
And that's the premise for this episode, too, yeah.
Right, and it's usually people trying to get you to have faith in what they're saying or what they've been told by Jesus or anything like that who experience these things, and there's a lot of controversy around whether or not these particular phenomena even exist.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's probably why they show Arlie Ermey's character, Reverend Finley,
who was obviously full of shit.
Exactly, who was obviously a fake.
Right.
At the beginning.
And you get that, I mean...
For the contrast.
Yeah, it is my opinion, and, give me a hard time if you want to, but this is my opinion. If anybody tries to tell you that giving them money is your pathway to God, kick those people to the curb.
Right.
Because that's not how this works.
Well, as I think Bono expressed it so eloquently...
The God I know ain't short of cash, mister?
Yeah, the God I believe in isn't short of cash, mister.
Mister, yeah, exactly. So anytime you've got somebody in a tent passing around a dish because he can heal you from the wheelchair, just move on, because that person is full of it. And all you're gonna lose... Yep. All you're going to gain is cynicism, and all you're going to lose is whatever money you put in that collection plate. Yeah. So, and that's Arlie Ermey's character. He's like a tent revival CC writer kind of a guy who
con man.
Yeah, con man with he has, you find out after he is murdered by Wyndham Earle, that he has a blood packet strapped to him. Yeah. And it's totally fake. Yeah. So. And
we'll talk more here in a second about that. We're almost done. So I appreciate the trivia. That was good. I didn't have that. So thank you for that. All right. Apparently this episode had been it was obviously a bit of concern with religious people, overly religious people, because, so the producers didn't want to piss certain people off. But according to Chris Carter, the creator and showrunner, the show handled it in a way to make it about miracle belief or lack of belief.
And I think they did do a good job in this episode because, like I said, it doesn't matter what you believe. There are some things that you just can't explain.
Yeah.
And there are also some people who will use that to their advantage.
Yeah.
And I don't care what religion you are or what religion you aren't. Anybody who does that should be denounced for being the shyster that they are.
Yeah. And and I think that's why it makes it such a compelling episode for Scully, because she is a true believer in this, and normally she's the skeptic. So this gives, I think, a little added dimension to her character because of her faith.
Right, because there's and this is the kind of thing that we have seen over over the years, and as we learn more scientifically, there's still a lot about this universe that we don't know.
Yeah.
But as we learn more things scientifically, we sort of figure out what these biblical parables were talking about and what actually happened. And stigmata is not really one of those. We still can't really explain stigmata very well. So it's you can't figure out, usually with stigmata, like I said, it's very controversial because most of the time it is an Arlie Ermes. It's somebody totally full of it.
Yeah.
Or it could be somebody who is a hemophiliac. It could be a million different things, and that's where Scully's coming from.
There could be an explanation, yeah.
Right. Scully's coming from what happened. Like what is the explanation for this? And Scully is very willing to believe, and she even talks about this when she goes to confession towards the end of the episode. She says, my partner usually believes everything without question except for this, and this is the one thing I am believing that he is having a hard time with.
Yeah.
And I think with Mulder's character, any faith Mulder had has been tested and replaced with cynicism because of what he's been through, I think.
But he also has his own faith. It's just a different faith because he believes in the extraterrestrial.
Right.
Because of his experience with his sister and seeing her kidnapped. So that's where his faith lies.
I think
in the unexplained.
In the unexplained, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to anything religious, I feel like Mulder, any religious faith Mulder would have had has been replaced by cynicism, because I'm sure to young Fox Mulder's mind, if there was a God, this would not have happened to me.
Yeah.
God would not have allowed something or someone to kidnap my sister in front of me when I was powerless to do anything about it.
And that cynicism kind of is something that gets even worse as the series progresses, because
it's worse as the series returns too.
Right, exactly, because as Mulder keeps getting burned over and over and over
constantly, right,
by the just being all these things, this proof that he keeps looking for dangled in front of him, only be yanked away.
Right.
And he keeps falling for it.
He wants to believe. He really does want to believe, but this is one thing where he's
right there on the poster.
It's right there on the poster, right in his office. He just can't, because I think he's seen too many Arlie Ermes in his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's made him jaded.
It's made him very jaded. Yeah.
All right. One other thing, the scene with Kevin's father speaking in tongues was cut in the final edit of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that scene, apparently he was going to be quoting Klaatu Barada Nikto from The Day the Earth Stood Still in 1951.
Oh, and that's what you don't want. You don't want Gort waking up when you're not ready for him to.
Yeah, right. Laying waste to everything. Yeah. Not a good night. But so they cut that one, and maybe they thought they would be making fun of speaking in tongues. I don't know. But and lastly, Michael Berryman, I talked about this a little bit, hinted at this a little bit earlier. He said that his role as Owen Jarvis was apparently his favorite role of his career.
Really?
And he credits it because it reversed typecasting that always put him in the role of a monster.
That's true. He was very much the good guy in this story.
Because he's out there to protect this kid, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And he sacrifices his life for him.
He does.
So apparently, Michael Berryman thought this is my favorite role ever.
All right. Well, there we go.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
We have Michael Berryman's seal of approval on this episode, and you really can't argue with Michael Berryman. At least you shouldn't.
Nope. I was glad to know that he's still alive, by the way.
He's like in his
80s, but he's still alive.
Yeah, and there's something about him that he can be so scary, but he can also be like so cuddly, sweet-looking guy too.
Right.
He's a really, really interesting actor.
Yeah, he is. And obviously, like I said, very visually distinctive.
Very visually distinctive, yes.
He's the kind of actor that you would have expected to see in the Humbug episode that we talked about.
Or even a Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
He's very distinctive.
I'm kind of surprised Lynch never got a hold of him.
He's very distinctive in the way that Carol Struycken is very distinctive.
Yes, he is. I agree.
The no hair, the piercing stare,
mm-hmm.
similar things.
Odd features, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Like I said, it's stunning that Lynch never got a hold of him. All right, so let's dive into the episode, as we've been already talking about some of it. So we start off in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. Salute. With Reverend Patrick Finley. We talked about him faking his stigmatic injuries during a sermon. And you talked about how he was, we find out that he had packs underneath his robes.
Yep.
And according to Mulder, it was ketchup. He said it was sweet. So I kind of thought he was talking about it was syrup, but Scully says it was ketchup.
I think she called it ketchup just as a way to be silly about it, but it
'Cause
definitely was.
It looked more syrupy to me.
It was the colored corn syrup.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Ketchup's too thick to be blood, and it's too orange to be blood. So I think she's just. Yeah. I think she was just using that as shorthand for badly done fake blood.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So afterwards, Reverend Finley gets visited by a white-haired man whom we know is Simon Gates, a.k.a. Wyndham Earl, sort of.
Well, he's a very Wyndham Earl-esque character in this because he's sort of obsessively hunting people down,
right, and
killing them.
And he strangles him, and his hands are smoking. But what I find interesting, because you get a guy like Kenneth Welsh, an actor like Kenneth Welsh, especially coming off of Twin Peaks. Mm-hmm. You would kind of think he would be playing a character, especially if he's playing a bad guy, that's a little bit more theatrical.
No, that's the beauty about Kenneth Welsh, is that he has that psychopathic smile.
Right.
He's very sinister. He's the epitome of nice guy, quiet, mostly kept to himself.
Yeah.
So he has that underlying sinister, sweet smile that goes psychotic in a second. So I think he has that perfect look.
But do you understand what I'm talking about? Because Wyndham Earl was so over the top.
Wyndham Earl was so over the top, but I feel like this understated version is even scarier.
Because you take him more seriously?
You take him a little more seriously, and you're not sure what he's doing. Because in Twin Peaks, the Wyndham Earl character is very obviously out to get Dale Cooper.
Yes.
And when he's getting anybody else, it's to get Dale Cooper. And you feel like this guy is going to just kill anybody, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. And he's going to kill this child for no reason. Well, I mean, he has his reason, but for his psychosis. So,
to be fair, Wyndham Earl never killed a kid, as far as we know.
As far as we know, Wyndham Earl never killed a kid. And there's just something so sinister about Kenneth Welsh, which, unfortunately for him, perhaps he's been typecast in my mind. Hopefully he hasn't been typecast that way for everybody else. But, I've seen him as Wyndham Earl. I've seen him in this. I've seen him in where he's played like abusive husbands. I mean, just really terrible characters. And it's that quiet calm that he is, like when he's Gerald Craig.
Okay.
Or when he's talking to Audrey in the library, or one of those things where he can really be the kind old man.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
But then underneath it, he just can sort of turn on a dime, and he has those eyes, he has that smile. So
like he can switch it on like a light switch.
Right. And just when he comes in to Arlie Ermey's dressing room and he says, I just wanted you to know that there are still some of us who believe.
Yeah.
And he's like, thanks. Even you can tell that Arlie Ermey, badass Semper Fi Arlie Ermey is getting freaked out by this guy.
Yeah. It's about to get real, exactly.
It's about to get really bad.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I take your point. I agree. He is much more sinister in this, and he does almost come off as more menacing as a result.
Right, and I think there's an over-the-topness to Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
That works because it is this otherworldly town, and I don't think it works as much in an X-Files non-comedic episode.
Yeah, because, obviously X-Files, like we talked about when we talked Humbug,
right.
X-Files can do comedy.
Can.
And does it well.
Yeah.
Especially when Darren Morgan's writing it.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, as far as tone, that portrayal, the much more menacing villain,
Right.
suits the tone of this episode better. All right.
Right.
So obviously we get Mulder and Scully on the case. Mulder says that the priest was the 11th fake stigmatic who has been killed over the past 3 years in a series of international murders. So apparently, old Simon is a serial killer, as we find out.
He is definitely a serial killer.
So meanwhile, in Loveland, Ohio, boy named Kevin Kreider starts bleeding from the palms of his hands. And by the way, if you're wondering, Loveland, Ohio is right outside Cincinnati.
Yes, it is.
In Hamilton County.
It's in Hamilton County. Yep.
Yep. I looked it up.
Yeah, and he's, I have to say, of all the things that can happen to boys when they get called up to the chalkboard,
right?
This is probably number 2.
Well, speaking as former said boy, yeah, I can attest to that. So yeah, yeah. So in as bad as the fear of getting aroused while you're up in at the front of the class doing your writing stuff on the blackboard, I would imagine bleeding from your hands. Right up there. It's right up there. It's right up there. Especially when you have the whole class going, ew. Yeah.
Which I think the entire class would say in either situation.
Yeah. But interestingly, Kevin was like, before he started bleeding from his hands, he was acting kind of like the class clown.
He was some class clown or really charming or
picking on girls, and he was trying to, just act up. And so you figure, okay, well, maybe he's just goofing around here.
Yeah,
not
really.
Not so much.
Yeah.
So Mulder and Scully show up, and they meet up with a social worker who claims Kevin suffered injuries before and that his father was institutionalized.
Here is where this episode leaves me wanting.
I was kind of hoping you would break into the song Institutionalized by the Suicidal Tendencies.
Sometimes I try to do things and they don't work out the way I want them to.
Thank you.
Time, and I try real hard, and people say, you know what, it looks like you're having a lot of problems lately, maybe feel better if you talked about it. I'm like, no, I'm all right. I'll handle it. I'll deal with it.
They keep bugging me.
And then it builds up inside. And I'm not crazy. You're the one that's crazy, and you're driving me crazy. Wait. You decided my best interests? How do you know what my best interests are?
Yes.
When I went to your schools, I went to your churches, I went to your institutional learning facilities, you're going to tell me that I'm crazy? Because all I wanted was a Pepsi. Just one Pepsi. She wouldn't give it to me.
And this, right there, people, this is why I love podcasting with Xan.
Institutionalized by the Suicidal Tendencies is a fantastic song.
My podcast soulmate, Xan Sprouse.
That's why I'm here, to add levity and non sequiturs. That's what I do. But no, this part of the story did leave me wanting a little bit, because what was the deal with this kid's dad? Was this kid's dad always a religious fanatic? Did he become a religious fanatic because his child had stigmata? Does he also have Jerusalem syndrome, which we find out Kenneth Welsh's character has later on?
Yeah.
So I feel like he has this dad that is immediately institutionalized. And so I'm sure that, because this is the weird thing about religion.
Only one thing?
Well, okay.
Way to undersell it there, Xan.
Right. Well, there's a weird thing about religion where it's good, too much.
Right.
You can leap over the line of being too much really easily, and when you start, and in most cultures, the expectation is that you are at least a Christmas and Easter religious person.
Right.
Meaning you go to church at least twice a year. That, you have the basic basic tenets going on in your family, and you might maybe say grace at Thanksgiving. I don't know. The expectation is that you follow some sort of religious thing. All presidents have to swear on a Bible and all that kind of stuff. But
some semblance of structure.
Some semblance of religious structure. But anytime you hear somebody talk about something biblical in a present day scenario, they're immediately crazy. And I feel like this is probably what happened with this kid's dad. I'll bet they had a similar situation where he's up at the chalkboard or doing whatever, and he starts bleeding from his hands. And as you saw in this episode, they are holes. They are little holes. They are like
puncture wounds.
They are nail-sized.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that somebody goes to the house to do a visit, and they say, your son seems to have hit. Do you know what happened? Did he hurt himself at home? And instead of saying, oh my goodness, what happened to our child? This father probably was all with the, oh yes, my son is the chosen one.
Yeah.
That is why he bears the mark of Christ. I mean, he's probably doing that kind of a thing. So how did that start? Was he always like that? Was the mom like that and she distanced herself because they had the kid taken away? I feel like there's a lot going on with this family that I will never know about.
There was a lot of backstory. I agree. But
a lot of backstory.
But the vibe I got was that, yes, something, the father, the vibe I got was that the father wasn't originally religious, but then when his son started manifesting, these stigmatic symptoms,
he was probably, like I said, a Christmas and Easter Christian.
Right. And then, and he probably started researching it, and then went down this rabbit hole and totally bought into the dogma of stigmatics. And so, and then he kind of tipped over the edge. Like maybe for whatever reason, his interest turned into an obsession, and his obsession turned into fanaticism.
That sounds probably about right.
And that's probably what broke up their marriage, because Kevin's mom is probably like, oh, hell no, we're not doing this. My son is not, the chosen one. And, you're
not
crazy.
Going, you're the one that's crazy. You're driving me crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
We are not going to celebrate our son's injuries.
Right.
We're not going to let our son bleed on the school bus and then celebrate that because he bears the mark of Christ. That's not what we're going to do.
Yeah, and Kevin's father, when Mulder and Scully show up to talk to him, he's talking about how his son is the chosen one, like you said, and that evil forces will come to kill him as part of a great war between good and evil. So not only that, he's
not
kind of like
helping himself.
Yeah, so it's all part of this war, to basically elevate him even more in importance.
Right, the holy war that has been coming for the last 2,000 years.
And only, like, my son is this key part of this war, and they're just trying to kill him.
Right.
So, and I'm trying to protect him because I'm crazy, essentially.
Right, and the fact that he is a child, and the fact that he is trying, and he's not trying to make money off of it, is what gives a little bit of credence to their story, that he truly believes this. This is not his way of, like, I don't know, did you watch Perry Mason?
Yes, I did. Perry Mason? Yes, I did. I liked it a lot.
He's definitely not using his child to get ahead in life, whether that means allowing someone to rape his child so they can have car help, or using his child as a minister to get money.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the HBO miniseries, the revival of Perry Mason, Tatiana Maslany's character in that series
has been through some shit.
Has a horrible, horrible mother that essentially pimped her out to this dude for gas.
Who is played brilliantly, as usual, by the great Lily Taylor.
Right.
She's not a good person.
The character, I'm sure Lily Taylor is probably a wonderful person.
Lily Taylor's phenomenal. Yeah.
But her character is a horrible POS. So, yeah.
Yeah, she's horrible.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, Lily Taylor is unbelievably fabulous, as usual. So, But yeah, he's not doing anything like that. So you really do believe that he actually believes what he's talking about. Again, because in our culture, you can be religious up to a point, and then when you cross that line, you have leapt over it. This is one of those moments where he's leapt over it, frankly.
Pretty much. And as a result, he's been locked up as a result in this institution. So Kevin ends up getting abducted by Owen, a strange-looking man.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin's mother recognizes the man's description as Owen Jarvis, who did some yard work for the family in the past. So Owen claims to be Kevin's guardian angel.
Which is probably why he came to them to do yard work in the first place.
Exactly. So obviously, Owen showing up a little bit under false pretenses.
He's like the heavenly version of Mrs. Baylock in The Omen. Have no fear, little one. I am here to protect thee.
That's a great reference, by the way.
That's his character. He's the heavenly Mrs. Baylock.
Yeah. Hopefully, no hellhounds. Maybe heaven hounds, I guess. But yeah.
What would Heaven Hound be? Would that be like pugs? I think it'd be pugs. They're the best dog ever.
I'd like to think of beagle, but I mean, that's just me. I like beagles.
Yeah, and Snoopy.
Yeah, exactly.
Snoopy's pretty great.
That's probably why I like beagles, because of watching so much Charlie Brown animated specials as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Peanuts animated specials. So as when Mulder and Scully show up at Kevin's house, Kevin mysteriously disappears. Owen claims that he was asked by God to protect Kevin, and he kind of lays into Scully for her faith not being as strong as his, which is always a religious no-no, that you should never criticize someone's faith.
Nope.
It's not exactly, polite. So Owen jumps out a window and escapes. So he's just like, that's it, I'm bailing out of here. He jumps out a 2-story window.
Yep. And he
vanishes into
survives
the night.
with like pieces of glass coming out of his face.
Exactly.
It's pretty hardcore.
Yeah. It was pretty, So Kevin ends up coming back to his house, gets pursued by Simon Gates, who kills Owen when Owen shows up to protect Kevin. And that's when we get to see Owen's face get all...
See, now that's where this episode gets really strange, because we'll talk about this in a second, Charles.
Okay.
Go on with the episode, and I'll come back to this.
Okay, well, you can talk about it now if you want.
No, because it'll be better. It'll make more sense when we talk about this.
All right, you want to put it in its context. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
All right, let me know, and feel free. Scully performs an autopsy, finds that Owen's corpse is not decaying, which reminds her of quote-unquote incorruptibles.
And he smells like flowers.
Exactly. It's like a daisy.
Mm-hmm. Daisy fresh, right on the slab.
Exactly. He's stone dead. That she learned about in catechism.
Don't be such a baby.
He's bleeding demised. Mulder tells Scully not to let her faith cloud her judgment. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of ironic because Mulder usually...
That's literally all Mulder ever does.
Exactly. So it's a little bit of a hypocrisy coming from...
That's the thing, is that we have to remember faith is not specific to religion.
Right.
Faith is any time you believe something that you can't explain or you can't prove.
Right. Or so just, it's something that you believe in, no matter what.
Right. Something you believe in regardless of empirical evidence.
Yeah.
So it's not just for religion anymore.
Exactly. It's not just for breakfast anymore.
Nope.
Scully finds that handprints on Owen's neck belong to Simon Gates because, hey, burned his fingerprints right into him, right?
Yes.
That's kind of CSI 101 there.
Mm-hmm.
Who's like this rich, powerful executive. So apparently, kind of like, a Damien Thorne in the third Omen movie. Like rich.
When the Jews return to Zion.
Rich, powerful. So he goes all Sam Neill, right?
And the crappy third one where he's president.
I like that one. That's actually one of my favorites.
I
like that one more than Omen 2.
Well, of course you did. Did you ever see that episode of Space Ghost where Space Ghost believes that they're dealing with the Antichrist.
Yeah.
So he flies away and then he flies back. He's like, okay, I just watched all of the Omen movies, including the crappy third one where he's president. So that's where I get that. That's a Space Ghost quote.
Yeah.
So
the third one was the first one I got to see in the theater.
Okay. That makes sense.
So I kind of am more loyal to that one. Although I got to give props to the first one because hey, Patrick Troughton's in it.
Patrick Troughton's in it, yeah.
So
turning man against his brother until man exists.
It's like you killed a doctor in that one. Okay.
Well.
Yeah,
you kind of you really got him too. Just big old lightning rod,
little spike right through the yep, impaled him
right through the entire body. That was pretty.
Try and regenerate out of that one.
Guys, if you haven't seen The Omen, you really need to see The Omen. It's pretty freaking amazing.
I think I'm thinking there's another movie we need to talk about. We're coming up with titles here.
Yeah.
That's all right. Kevin travels with his mom in a car, which of course breaks down because hey, it's a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
And Simon Gates just happens to show up right there, offering to help fix the car.
Yeah, Simon Gates has been following this kid for a while.
Pretty much. But it's kind of interesting that he just happens to be there. And Kevin, who recognized him because, hey, Simon just tried to kidnap him, is kind of like freaking out a little bit in the car, but can't quite see him because the hood's up.
Right.
So he's not sure really what's going on, but seems like he has a bad feeling about it. And apparently Kevin has the ability to appear in two places at once.
They never really explain that in this episode, do they?
It's called bilocating.
It's called bilocating, but it's not something that comes forgive the pun.
Yes.
It doesn't go hand in hand with stigmata.
Excellent. That's good. That deserves this. Where is it here? There we
Thank you.
A little slow on that one, but I got there. All right.
I wasn't really trying to make that pun. I just realized it was going to happen whether I wanted it to or not.
I love a good pun. So
that's the weird thing about this episode is that so now this kid can bilocate. That doesn't make any freaking sense, and they never explain it.
That does not make sense.
No, it's
the Chewbacca defense.
This does not make sense.
Ewoks on Endor, that does not make sense.
I want my $8 back.
Sorry, it just happened. That just popped in my head for some reason. Basically, Simon gets distracted and helps them escape. So they get back in the car. They peel out of there. But Kevin's mom, after being hurt by Gates, because she was essentially thrown down to the road and smacked her head on the pavement.
Right, she's suffering from a bit of a head wound and is unable to particularly drive very well.
Yeah, yes. so she's all weaving around and then drives the car right into a ditch, and she dies as a result.
And she dies. Yes.
Wah, wah. Scully tells Kevin that she's going to protect him, though, and they bring him to a hotel where Scully notices an additional wound on Kevin's side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of like that third wound on the crucifix.
Yeah. I think we've heard about that at Easter at some point in our lives, right?
Yeah, and of course, but it also seemed a little awkward watching that scene because, you know, like you've got Scully with a young boy and it just seemed a little skeevy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Scully wouldn't do anything, but it's still even.
I got to tell you, Charles, I watch a lot of To Catch a Predator on YouTube.
Yeah, so that didn't even faze you.
Never, ever any women coming to meet 13-year-olds. Never. Yeah. They've in the history of Chris Hansen, there's never been a decoy trying to catch a predator, and it's a woman that comes to the house. So it's a little more.
That's because guys are a-holes. So
this is a bit of a foreshadowing to Scully's maternal nature with her son William.
Yes.
Her and Mulder's son William, who is also special needs, shall we say?
Special needs, alien-human hybrid.
You know,
take your pick. Yeah.
Something that you really can't understand using current scientific theory. So yeah, I think this is a bit of foreshadowing to her maternal nature.
Yeah, Scully and Mulder kind of get into it when Mulder won't even consider that a miracle is possible.
Right.
So this is essentially Scully defending her faith.
And again, I can't say that I blame Mulder because he's probably sitting there. He's like, look, if miracles were real, I would have a sister.
Yes.
Okay. So Tell me another one, Scully. I think he's very, very jaded.
Mulder pretty much can play that card anytime he wants.
I think he's just really jaded about even considering the concept that something otherworldly can help you rather than hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably why he's because, of being so negatively affected, he can't see the positive benefit from that.
Right. That has not happened for him.
Yeah, exactly. Not in his experience, anyway.
Nope.
So as they're talking, though, as they get into this little argument, Simon Gates decides, well, hey, I'll just break into the bathroom and steal a kid. So he does that.
Silently.
Pries open.
No one's going to hear me.
Pries open. There was a barred window, but he pries it open because, hey, he's got heat hands and can just pull that apart.
Yeah.
And, we see the after effects that were like he had just taken a kid, and you see the iron bars which had been pulled back. They're still red from being heated.
Yeah, they're still right. They were melted.
Like Mulder says, like it was like somebody took an acetylene torch to him.
Yep.
So.
Which is probably what they did.
Yeah.
To get that effect, that's probably exactly how they did it.
So Scully, instead of trying to pursue Gates, I guess, decides, well, I need to go back to see Kevin's father. So she goes back to see Kevin's father, but he's drugged. Sorry about your luck.
Yeah, extremely, extremely drugged, and he can't remember anything, but he is talking in...
He's going to take a little nap now.
Just hit him up with about 300 cc's of Thorazine. He's talking in riddle, but the riddles actually makes...
by the way.
You're welcome. He's talking in riddles, but the riddles make sense.
Right.
So with the whole full circle, and we realize that Kenneth Welsh character is a recycling magnate.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole recycling symbol, get it? Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It's a metaphor, get it?
That's where we get our well-respected man about town.
Yep.
That is the, who's gonna come for Kevin. Yeah.
Speaking of which, that recycling plant is in Jerusalem, Ohio.
Oh, no.
Which is on the southeast portion of Ohio.
Right.
Along the Ohio River, I believe, or at least along the West Virginia border. Maybe not the Ohio River, but probably along the West Virginia border. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, in case you're wondering, trying to keep the geography straight. So it basically took him all the way across the state to his recycling plant.
Now,
which is like a 3-hour drive at least, maybe 2.
Well, you idiots are running your candy asses halfway across the state and back.
Yeah.
I'll be on the other side, relaxing with my thoughts. Okay, so we have Jerusalem, Ohio.
Yeah.
And we also find out that this character has recently been to Jerusalem, Israel.
Yes.
On vacation.
Coincidence? I think not.
I think not. Here's the thing about this character that starts to get a little bit weird for me on this one. Once again, Jerusalem syndrome is a thing where you take a pilgrimage to the Holy Land and then you feel like you have been touched by God.
Yeah.
And you are either healed or you now have a message or you are a chosen one.
Like a Messiah, yeah. Yeah, Mulder actually brings that up, I believe. Or was it Scully? Maybe one of those two.
One of the two brings that up when they talk about how he had been to Jerusalem, and that's what's going on here. But where do the heat hands come from?
Exactly, right?
That's what's weird about this episode is you have all these things with the heat hands and the... Yeah, and so there's a lot of things I feel in this episode that they tell you, like, oh yeah, he has Jerusalem syndrome. It's like, yeah, Jerusalem syndrome doesn't give you heat hands.
Right, exactly.
Stigmata doesn't make you bilocate. Like, there's so much more going on with these people that they just don't even talk about.
Yeah. It's not like he just rubbed his hands together really fast, but
it's not like he just has like, hot hands.
Yeah.
That he put in his gloves or something. But yeah, this episode bugs me for that because it just sort of assumes that you're just going to be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's not like he was an NBA star who had the hot hands, but no.
Yeah, it's really strange to me.
Yeah, exactly. I get your point. So, Mulder thinks he went to the airport because there was a guy matching Gates' description was reported heading there. Scully's like, nope, No, he's going to the recycling plant.
Yep.
It turns out she's right.
She's right.
No surprise there. I think we would all put our money on Scully being right more than Mulder, maybe, usually. So Scully shows up at the recycling plant where Gates tells Kevin that he must die for the new age to come, which was the exact same thing that his dad, Kevin's dad, was ranting about.
Right.
So apparently Kevin's dad was on the money, at least.
Yeah.
Onto something. Gates attempts to jump into a paper shredding machine with Kevin. I don't know why Gates decided he was going to take himself out instead of just pushing Kevin in.
And boy, does he get pulverized.
But Kevin grabs onto the side as Gates falls into the shredder and is killed. See ya.
Yeah, and it's gross.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he gets all.
That's your
and of course
buddy over there.
And of course you see all the paper with blood on it. And
yeah, it's gross.
And of course Scully shows up just in time to pull Kevin to safety because hey, nick of time.
Because it is now 9:54 on the X-Files, and we have to
exactly
we wrap this shit up.
We got to wrap things up.
Yeah.
2 days later, Scully and Kevin say goodbye. Kevin tells Scully he'll see her again, and the narrator at that point should say he doesn't.
You never see Scully again.
You never see Scully again. Yeah. Scully goes to the confessional for the first time in 6 years in the epilogue.
Yep.
Which is interesting. This is where we really dive into the Catholicism a bit. Wondering if God is speaking, but that no one is listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the confessional, the priest advises her, sometimes we must come full circle to find the truth. Because, hey, he was a recycling guy. Get it?
Yeah, full circle again. I get it.
Full circle,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And, of course, this re-echoes a phrase used by Kevin's father early in the episode, and that what Scully connected to the recycling plant. So, all right. After she noticed there was a recycling symbol outside the hospital room of Kevin's father.
Yep.
So there you go.
That's how she figured out that he's talking in riddle, but he's making sense.
Yeah. So that's our episode, everybody. So, solid episode, I thought. Xan, do you have a rating?
Yeah. I'm going to give this one 6 out of 10 bags of fake blood.
Really?
Yeah. And like I said, because...
Pretty low this time.
Yeah, it's pretty low because, like I said, there's so many things in this episode that they just sort of expect you to accept without explanation.
Right.
Like, I've heard of...
You mean take on faith?
I see what you did there.
See what I did there?
I see what you did there. And, maybe that was their intention. Maybe they're saying, that's what I would tell me if I were at a convention and I were one of those jerks bitching about the episode.
Right.
I just feel like there's so much that they are saying,
and then explain.
And then this happened, and we're just supposed to go, yeah, all right. Things like bilocation, heat hands.
Yeah.
What's the deal with Kevin's father? Just all kinds of stuff like that, where you're like, okay, well, there's more going on here than just some kid who's bleeding and some guy who has Jerusalem syndrome. And they're not telling us what that is. Superhuman strength is a thing that can happen, especially in great moments of faith-based adrenaline.
Right.
They say that when you go to, and I've got hair in my headphones, so it's driving me crazy. Okay. When you go to one of those,
it's funny. I never have that problem.
You don't have that problem.
I don't know why.
You go to one of those tent healers, and they put their hands on you, and then people pass out.
Yeah.
Supposedly healed, and they say that what that is a rush of adrenaline. That you're so caught up in the expectation and the moment and the faith and the really thinking, okay, this is going to do it. This is going to get me out of these crutches or whatever.
Yeah.
That's why people start convulsing, and that's why people fall over, and that's why they pass out. So there's all of these things that we've heard about, these sort of religious ailments that we've heard about over the course of time that are explained by whatever, but and maybe there's some story that I don't know about how there's somebody who had stigmata and could bilocate. But the bilocation is just almost like, and I think you've heard me make this comparison before, Charles, where there's sometimes I feel like people are writing the way little kids tell stories. And I've said this about the Wizard of Oz books, the Oz books by L. Frank Baum. They're very much like how a little kid just tells you things as they think of them.
Yeah.
So there's this girl, and she lives on a farm with her aunt and uncle, and then she gets blown away, and she meets a scarecrow, and then she meets the queen, and she gives her shoes, and she flies back. And if she looks in a mirror at 1 o'clock every day, she can go back to Oz whenever she wants to, and then she does, and then she meets this chicken. They really read like that. And that's how I felt this episode was. There's this kid, and he has stigmata, and this guy is looking for him because this guy is evil, and he has lava hands, and when he chokes you, you start smoking like a piece of meat, and when he gets you, he can melt you, and when he gets you and he knocks you to the ground, then you go crazy and you drive off of a cliff. And this kid, he has a stigmata, but he can be in two places at once. Like, you think he's here, but then somebody else sees him at school. And it felt like that. Like, they just tacked on these story things that didn't go anywhere for no real reason. So that's where my low rating comes from.
And then what's his name from Kids in the Hall shows up and says, and that guy, he smoked. He
smoked. Can I paint your chair?
I forget what his character's name came.
Gavin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gavin. Yes.
And Mom, he was smoking.
Played by Bruce McCullough.
Bruce McCullough. Yeah, the great Bruce McCullough doing the Gavin character.
I was trying to think so hard of his name.
Hey, Mister, can I paint your chair?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what about you, Charles?
That's epic. Thank you. That was fantastic.
Did you like
I'm gonna be smiling about that.
Did you like my little Wizard of Oz book report?
I loved your summary. That was fantastic. That's fantastic. I
got through about like the first 3 books.
Maybe we should do Twin Peaks like that. I don't know.
Literally everything I said about the Wizard of Oz happens in the Oz.
There was this guy, and he went out. He was going to go out fishing, but then he went out fishing, and then he saw like this.
He made fish coffee, and then he went out and he found a body, and his wife was real mean, and they live with this pretty girl,
and she was all wrapped in plastic, and
so they call the police, and the doctor it's his daughter's best friend, and so he's real sad. So they call in this other guy who likes sandwiches and pie a lot, and he drives into town, and the lights aren't working, and he finds a letter under her hand, and he says this happened before. And then this other girl, she's in her underwear, and she comes across the bridge because she went to Canada, and some men were mean to her, and they tied her up, and now she's in the hospital, and her dad works for the nasty lady who's married to the fish coffee guy, and they have to shut down everything because everybody's scared that everybody's going to get murdered. And so the man who likes sandwiches, he's with the FBI, and he makes sure that there's a curfew, and the sheriff, he's in love with the pretty girl, and they start kissing, and then all of a sudden you see the girl's best friend, and now she's in love with the girl's boyfriend. Now that she's dead, they get together, and they drive off, and they bury something in the woods, and then somebody digs it up.
That was gold. That was gold.
That is episode 1 of
if we ever do a highlight reel, that's got to be on there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's episode 1 of Twin Peaks.
Everyone, you just listen to Ghostwood history, as far as I'm concerned.
And this girl, she borrows her sister's bicycle, but she doesn't put air in the tires, and she gets in trouble.
And this guy, Bobby, he killed a guy.
Bobby killed a guy. And then there's Mike. He's a bonehead boyfriend. And they go and they find Donna at the gas station, which is at her new secret boyfriend's uncle's house. And his aunt is crazy, and she wears an eye patch, and she likes drapes.
You have a gift for this. You have an absolute gift for this.
Thank you. I hope everybody else found it as entertaining.
If they didn't, there's something wrong with them. I'm sorry.
But yeah,
there's something wrong with you. There's something really, really wrong with you.
But yeah, when you have a story like this where you just add shit in and you don't do any, you don't talk about it other than like, oh, apparently the kid can bilocate. Go back to that, Mulder. I mean, that is so much more interesting.
It's like, wait, back up a minute.
Hang up. Bilocate. bilocating. Okay.
Right.
All right. Whatever.
Okay.
But
What is he, a mutant? Does he go to Professor X's Institute for Gifted
Institute
Youngsters?
for Gifted Youngsters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
You need to go back to that. And like I said, if somebody, the ability to burn somebody's flesh while you're strangling them,
Yeah.
is not just Jerusalem syndrome. There is more going on with these people.
Right. Well,
I
think it was the hint that he's satanic.
He's a demon.
He's a demon or a devil of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so he's gunning, and he's gunning for the stigmatic. So yeah.
Don't let that sour you guys on recycling. You should still recycle.
Yes, it's important.
It's important. So that's not part of the foreplay, but it's still very important.
Get those blue containers out to the curb.
Get them out to the curb. Yeah. Do
right.
you listen to the Flight of the Conchords, Charles? Do you know that?
I know of them, but I haven't heard it. Yeah.
They have a song called "Business Time."
Okay.
And it's about how like a long-term couple, with how they have a night each week that they have sex.
Yeah.
It's like, girl, tonight we're gonna make love. You know how I know? Because it's Wednesday. and then we're doing the foreplay. I start out the recycling. That is not part of the foreplay, but it's still very important. It's a very funny song. I recommend it.
I'm gonna have to look that up. That's awesome.
Business Time by Flight of the Conchords is hilarious.
I know Flight of the Conchords. A lot of people love them, and so I'm sure I would love that too.
Did you see the X-Files return? The 2016 or 17 return of the X-Files.
Yeah, I see them. I've got the Blu-rays.
Remember the episode where there's a guy who kind of looks like Kolchak the Night Stalker, and he's a lizard man?
Right.
He was on that show. He was on the Flight of the Conchords show. He was their boss at the office job that they had. He was like their manager who also had like this bad office job where he had to like manage these guys out of his.
That was in the Scully and Mulder Meet the Were-Monster, wasn't it?
I thought he was like more of a lizard guy.
No, but I can't remember.
I forget. But anyway, the guy that looks like Kolchak.
Okay.
He was on the Flight of the Conchords show.
Okay. All right. I'll have to look that up.
Anyway, but yeah, when you have a storyline like this where they just keep throwing stuff at you and not explaining it, that bugs me. Yeah.
So my rating, 7.5 out of 10 paper and bad guy shredders.
Ooh, that's a good one because, multitasking.
Yep, exactly. So I liked it a little bit more than you, but it was not the best episode. I mean, I think it's a solid average episode of the X-Files for me.
It's a good episode. What makes it a good episode is it gives you more insight into Scully and where she's coming from.
And that's why I kind of gave it a little bit higher, I think, because I really love that, we got to deep dive a little bit into her religious background, her faith, and it was more Scully-centric, which I really appreciate. I love those episodes. And
I always do like a Scully-centric episode, so I think about 4 of my points go to the Scully-centric story. 2 of my points go to Kenneth Welsh.
Yep.
And then it loses 4 points for just bringing in story arcs and story elements that just ultimately go nowhere.
I throw at least a point in for Arlie Ermy and Michael.
Oh, Michael Berryman. Michael Berryman. Yeah. You got to give them points too. But it's great performances. Great concept of it being a Scully episode.
Yeah.
Great insight into Scully's psyche and her mental process.
Just wasn't up to the execution, is what you're saying.
But the story just left me
cold.
It knocked me out of itself.
Okay.
He bilocated. Wait, what? That is not.
That seems to be the main sticking point you've got with this episode.
Like I said, stigmatics are not bilocators as a general rule. So, you have this crazy guy. Not
that we know a lot of stigmatics, but yeah.
Right. And also, I need to learn a little bit more about Jerusalem syndrome, because is there an aspect of Jerusalem syndrome where you go to the Holy Land and you come back as the Antichrist?
Right.
Where did that come from, first of all? Mm-hmm. And how do you have frying pan hands? That
flame on.
These 2 really bizarre aspects of both of these characters that you ultimately never talk about.
Yeah. It kind of gets overlooked. All right.
Yeah, it gets very much overlooked.
Okay. So we're a little divided on this one a little bit. Interesting. All right.
No, we're not divided. We just don't.
Yeah.
I just have more
issues with
problem.
it. Yeah.
I have more problem with being knocked out of the story by the story's own inconsistencies than you do.
And that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that's fine.
No problem with that. We got a lot of email this week.
I'm very excited about this email thing.
Jesse wrote a bonus email about
how has Jesse watched Twin Peaks and we're just now knowing about it?
Exactly. So yeah, because Jesse has gotten in the habit of copying Xan. So in her emails. So he wrote in first like a week ago, talking about Twin Peaks and him.
Yeah.
And so he writes in, hi, Xan and Charles. Well, hi, Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
How's it going? It's been like a whole day since I've talked to you on Next Up Everywhere.
It's been a lot longer since I've talked to Jesse, so I'm more excited about this.
Yeah. Well, we're making plans to do something about that. Just listening to the latest episode, and as always, I enjoy listening to the discussion. It's always a joy to hear you two discuss something you love. Yeah, that kind of helps.
Thank you, Jesse.
Side note, I really want Xan to join me on Set Lusting Bruce to talk music someday. I know that would be a blast. So I think
can we talk Tunnel of Love, because one of my favorite Bruce Springsteen songs is Two Faces.
I'm sure Jesse would be more than happy to talk anything at all.
Awesome.
Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm here for you, Jesse.
Just be prepared for him to do likewise with multiplied by a factor of 12.
That's fine.
Okay. Just fair warning. He continues, you didn't change my opinion on the episode, but hearing you discuss what you love about it made me happy. I also appreciate the love and support you both gave to me about my opinion, even if it is in the minority. Well, that's because we respect opinions. That's the whole point.
That's the thing, Jesse, and I would like to address this. Yeah. Anytime somebody gives somebody else a hard time for geeking out over something,
right,
you're an ass.
Yeah.
Because unless what you're geeking out over is some crime you've committed or something horrible you've done to another person, I am always interested in hearing somebody talk about something they love.
Yeah.
Because it's
more uplifting. It's more uplifting than hearing somebody whine about something.
It's just a lovely thing to hear someone talk about something they love, even if it's something that I could not give a rat's ass about.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to hear people talk about things that they love. So, Jesse, thank you for being the same way. Just liking the purity of hearing someone talk about something they love.
Yep, exactly. The purpose of this email is to share my Twin Peaks background. So here we go.
I don't know why he didn't share this with us months ago, but whatever.
Right, exactly. It's like, we've only been doing this podcast for like 3 years at least, right?
3 years. Yeah,
exactly. Way to jump on that grenade there, Jesse. The purpose of this, all right, I said that. Linda and I watched the original 2 seasons when it was on the air back in the day.
How did we not know this, Charles?
Right. How have we not had him on to talk about it?
I don't know.
Jesse.
Jesse's an OG with the Twin Peaks, just like we are.
Exactly. So you think we could have him on to talk about this?
I think, Jesse, we got a lot to talk about.
Listeners, what do you think? Should we, make that happen? I'm pretty sure we should.
Yeah.
So
why didn't we have Jesse on our soundtrack shows? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, because he's a big music guy.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, Jesse, by the way, we have episodes where we've talked about music here on Ghostwood.
Yeah.
It's called Listen to the Sounds. We actually did 2 of them.
We did 2 of them.
Parts 1 and 2. Check them out.
And there are some people we love and some people we really just don't want to listen to.
Yeah, there was.
Which is so sad because their band name is so clever. But I just don't want to hear them.
Okay. Which one?
Au
revoir, Simone. Yeah, I thought that's what I thought.
As a Pee-wee's Big Adventure fan, I love their band name. I just didn't want to listen. I just didn't like the song they did.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Jesse continues. I haven't ever gone back and rewatched this series. Didn't watch the movie, and when the new series came out, I decided I didn't want to watch it till I went back and rewatched the original. Felt wrong to pick up with the sequel without rereading the original material. Well, I get that.
Okay.
But no excuse for not going back and rewatching.
Apparently, he's not like us and doesn't watch Twin Peaks at least once a year.
Yeah. What's your deal, man? Come on.
You didn't have your videotapes that you taped off of Bravo in college for like 15 years?
Yeah. Or, off your parents' living room TV. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Yep. I just haven't taken the time to do that yet. It's hard to do.
Because I don't know why, Jesse, there's not like there's any shows on right now.
Yeah, well, he says it's hard to do, especially when Charles picks classic Doctor Who episodes that consist of 8 parts.
That's not Charles's fault. That's BBC's fault.
I didn't make the invasion that we just talked about here a couple weeks ago.
That's Verity's fault.
8 parts. No, that was after Verity. So that was.
I know. I'm just saying the concept of the Doctor Who being multiple episodes, being multiple parts. That's Verity. I'm blaming Verity.
You can blame Verity, Lambert, and Sidney Newman for that.
Yeah, blame them.
The mom and dad of Doctor Who. Yes.
That's who started this.
Yeah, pretty
this
much.
Come back next week for 5 weeks in a row.
Exactly. That's a joke, of course. I loved watching the Second Doctor and Jamie in the invasion. Well, you better mind your P's and Q's, Buster. You don't know who you
don't know who you do. Bueller. Ferris Bueller. Don't let me do that again.
All right, that's enough of that.
What's the score? Nothing. Who's winning?
The Bears.
Which is funny because baseball is on TV.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great sports joke, especially making fun of people that don't know anything about sports and try to act like they do. Yeah.
Yes,
that's great.
Exactly.
All right. I enjoyed the X-Files sample platter that you assigned to me, and I'm feeling a little sad that we only have a few more episodes to go. Well, after this one,
tell me about it.
We only have one.
Yeah.
For now, I'm going to sign off, finish my notes on the invasion, and listen to the news Springsteen single another dozen times. And I wonder why I don't have time to watch The Boys, more Twin Peaks, or the second season of Umbrella Academy. Well,
so many shows.
Well, stop listening to Springsteen. You got time. Enough said. Problem solved.
Why would anybody stop listening to Springsteen?
Well, because you got other stuff to watch. Got Twin Peaks to watch. I'm sorry. Twin Peaks over Springsteen.
Well, I mean, that's me.
And I'm sure that's going to make Jesse's head explode. But
I mean, personally, that would be me because Twin Peaks is definitely my thing. But I'm also the person that one of my favorite channels on Sirius XM is Little Steven's channel. So.
See, and again, you're going to have to go on Set Listing Bruce now. You know this, right? You've just confirmed this. You know this, right?
I understand this.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yes. Fair enough. Just letting you know. I mean, I've done twice, so.
Ooh, what'd you talk about?
We actually talked about, the first time I went on, I just talked about my musical background. Like talking all the concerts I've been to, the most notable ones, and favorite bands, etc. I talked about Twin Peaks. Believe it or not.
What's your most notable concert you've ever been to?
Most notable concert. Well, see, my favorite all-time concert was U2 at Cleveland Municipal Stadium during the Joshua Tree tour. It's my all-time.
With the Pixies?
I don't think they opened.
Oh no, that was the Octung Baby tour. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was 1987. So I don't think it was them.
That's pretty cool.
But that was my all-time favorite because it was like over 45,000 people in Cleveland Municipal Stadium. It was just this huge,
That's a
huge
crap
crowd.
ton of people. Yeah.
So
for real.
So it was fantastic. It was only my third concert ever. So
nice.
That's my all-time favorite. Stuff like that. Sending lots of love to my two favorite people in the known universe, Jesse Jackson. Well, thank you, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse. You rule.
Yeah. So Jesse writes in again, this time about Revelations.
All right, rock on. What do you got, Jesse?
So he starts us off with a hymn. So,
okay.
That's just very quick. He says, "Would you be free from the burden of sin? There's power in the blood. Power in the blood. Would you o'er evil a victory win? There's wonderful power in the blood. There's power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb." Okay. So that was the hymn. Okay. Hi, Xan and Charles. After a disappointing detour for me, our rewatch is back on track because he didn't like Humbug. Remember? So
that's right. He didn't like Humbug.
Yeah. So this episode was very entertaining. It had some nice twists. I'm sure one of the points you both will discuss in the role reversal that Scully is the believer and Mulder the skeptic. Yep.
We did, in fact, discuss that.
We did, in fact, yes. There's an irony that someone who believes in the supernatural would be an unbeliever as far as faith/miracles. Some great guest stars. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. There is an irony in the fact that there's somebody who believes in a voice from the sky, but not another voice from the sky.
Yeah, exactly.
But a voice from the sky is exactly what you found, Dr. Arroway. Oh. You like my McConaughey impression?
Yes. Wow, you pulled that one out. That was great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow. God, you're impressive tonight. You're on a roll tonight.
That's what I do. Non sequiturs. That is my thing.
You are on fire tonight. All right, this is definitely, this one's a keeper. I'm just saying.
There's this girl, and she has a radio, and she talks to Pensacola, and then her dad dies, and then she becomes a radio telescope engineer, and she hears aliens, and then James Woods takes them away from her, and then Jake Busey bombs everybody, and then she goes into space.
You're going to make me laugh.
That is Contact, everybody.
You're going to make me laugh about this stuff at 12 o'clock in the morning tonight. I know it. Oh, my God. That's fantastic. Bringing a smile to my face, as always.
That's my goal.
You succeed in spades. Some great guest stars. I was at first confused about Sam Bottoms because he looks so much like his brother Timothy Bottoms from the Last Picture Show fame. And, that's because I mentioned that Sam Bottoms was actually in the Last Picture Show. So it was him, not Timothy Bottoms.
All right.
Unless they were both in it.
I don't know. I've never seen the Last Picture Show.
I never have either.
But gaping hole in my cinephileness.
Yeah, mine as well. I know Sybil Shepherd's in it.
Yep.
I kept thinking it was Timothy. I really liked seeing Arlie Ermy, and in a small role, he played a great preacher. Well, not that great because, hey, he was a con man. And he died. So, Michael Berryman has made a career of playing supporting characters in horror films and in other SF shows. I liked his performance as protector of young Kevin. Kenneth Welsh is another great character actor, and he is wonderful as the villain, or in his mind, the hero.
He's always wonderful as the villain.
Because great villains always think they're the hero of their own story, right?
Well, and here's the thing about Kenneth Welsh, and I feel kind of bad for him, but he's done such a good job. He's a James Mason for me.
Yeah.
Anytime I see James Mason in a movie, I'm like waiting till the end of the movie for when James Mason is going to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
James Mason is so horrible in so many movies that when he's the good guy, like in Heaven Can Wait, I'm like, really? He's not he's not like really the devil? Like what?
You wonder what his ulterior motive is.
Yeah, and that's what happens to me when I see Kenneth Welsh. I'm like, oh, this can't be good.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, yeah, he does kind of a track record. Let's see what else. I love the vagueness of the story and the questions left unanswered. Is Kevin special? Should he be protected? Why has it been so long since Dana has been to confession? Why hasn't Scully ever drawn Mulder a bath? Because she makes that joke. Yeah.
That's right. Never drew me a bath.
Never drew me a bath.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing going on in this season. There's like more flirting going on between the two of them this season because we have
escalated flirting.
The episode after this one is that cockroach one with Dr. Bambi.
War of the Coprophages, which I just watched because after
of course you watched that. I mean, it's on the same disc. You had to watch it, right?
I love that episode.
That's a great. Her name is Bambi.
Yeah, she says it like 3 times. Like her name is Bambi.
Her name is Bambi. I love when she calls him and he's like, "Not right now," and just hangs up.
And she had to be fuming at the other end of that.
And she's just on the other phone like, you keep calling me, what the hell is going on? But there's that scene where I don't even remember what she's talking about at the beginning of the episode, and she just goes on and on very expertly talking about this subject, and Mulder just says, Scully, what are you wearing?
Yeah. He's like, he gets turned on. Well, she was talking about something like technological or whatever. I forget what it was.
She's talking very... very confidently about something scientific, and I forget what it is, but he just says, Scully, what are you wearing? Yeah. And for those of you who are too young to remember phone sex, that was how phone sex always started, was, what are you wearing?
Well, obviously, Scully was getting very turned on by that, yeah.
So they started like really kind of, what was the episode, what season was Eddie Van Blunt?
I want to say...
Was that season 2 or season 3?
I want to say 4, I think.
Okay.
I think
But
4.
I think they really started having a little bit more, and here, this is going to be one of the most dated references I'm ever going to do.
Mm-hmm.
They start having a real David and Maddie kind of a thing going on with two of them.
Yeah,
in
little
this
moonlighting thing,
so,
yeah.
But yeah, why haven't you ever drawn me a bath? Jesse, it sounds like Jesse is a little bit more comfortable with the unanswered questions than I am. So I feel that they are story arcs brought up and abandoned, whereas he feels that they are unanswered questions that have more of a purpose. So I'm glad Jesse got more enjoyment out of that than I did.
Well, he says, a very enjoyable time. Thanks for suggesting this one. I give it 8 out of 10 Forgive Me Fathers.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So thank you, Jesse, writing in twice.
Thank you very much for staying in touch.
But now that you've talked about that you've watched seasons 1 and 2 of Twin Peaks.
Jesse, we got a lot to talk about.
So I look forward to your upcoming appearance on Ghost with the Twin Peaks podcast, my friend.
For real. Yes.
No excuses now.
I know.
So we're looking. Yeah. Okay. Next, Holly writing in, Holly Mack once again.
Hey, Holly.
Love to hear from Holly. She says, hey, Charles and Xan. Hey, Holly. This was an interesting episode. Was I the only one cringing at first when Mulder licked his finger after putting in the fake blood?
Yeah, that was gross. I don't care what it was, Holly. Yeah. I don't care if it was blood. I don't care if it was corn syrup. It was on the floor. Gross.
He's about as bad as a certain Time Lord. Yeah, because the Doctor does that too. At least Tennant and Matt Smith and Jodie Whittaker do that. I can really feel for both Kevin and his mom. Kevin is quite the storyteller and may have watched Nightmare on Elm Street a few times.
Maybe a little bit.
A little bit. I wish we could have had more scenes with Owen. Again,
for real.
Right? Again, I thought he killed him off a little too soon on that episode. Again, we have Mulder and Scully switching roles slightly. The ending with Scully in the confessional and doubting herself in the priest's response was perfect. Looking forward to finding out what episode we're watching next. I'll wrap it up here. Holly, the lone gunwoman from Wisconsin.
Nice.
Thank you, Holly. Always a delight to hear from you.
Of course.
And, of course, it wouldn't be an X-Files feedback without a certain DJ Nick Pizzagone.
Are you going to do it again?
Hell yeah, I'm going to do it again. I have to now because Nick's girlfriend...
Somebody's got to make Sonia happy.
If making Sonia happy makes Nick happy. A happy Sonia is a happy Nick.
Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly. So, by special request for Sonia, this is going out to you on the countdown.
Number 25.
Number 25.
Here's our long distance dedication.
So Nick selects a cigarette and lights up.
Nick really needs to stop smoking.
Right. Dude, have you had your lungs checked? Just saying. Because we're concerned about you, my friend. Dear Carlito and Alejandra. So, dear Carlito and Alejandra. Something I've loved about the X-Files is the fact that it goes beyond aliens, ghoulies, and ghosties. No.
Very true. It does. It's everything unexplained.
And does dedicate quite a few of its episodes to faith and the mysteries therein, and this is naturally a clear example of this. Not to mention cultisms, which was also big talk in the 90s.
Oh, for sure.
Just a little bit. I wonder how much notorious characters like David Koresh in the U.S. and Beasts of Satan in Italy may have influenced the idea of taking on this theme.
Ooh, good question. I never thought about that.
I never knew about the Beasts of Satan, so I learned something today.
That's another thing, kids. If you meet somebody and they try to tell you they're the Messiah and the only way to heaven is through you and your children having sex with them, run the other way.
Yeah.
Because that's David Koresh right there.
Run like the wind, bullseye.
If a failed rock musician tries to get you into his harem because he says he's Jesus, he's not.
Yeah. Yeah, go watch The Vow if you haven't.
Don't even. Oh, my God. Oh, if you want to be friggin' infuriated, yeah, learn about Nexium. Yeah. And you'll be friggin' infuriated. Yeah.
As a Smallville fan, yeah.
Oh, it's so disappointing. As a Battlestar Galactica fan, it is so disappointing.
Right.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah, it's very disappointing.
It's very, very sad. Very, very disappointing.
All right.
Jesus will not want you for his harem. Okay.
Yeah. Nick goes on, says, I love this episode as it very much gives Scully a chance to shine and will be a trait which will be addressed constantly throughout the series, i.e. her faith and how she relates to it. Yep. This is like the first episode that really, explores that. But yeah, it's a pretty major character trait that's developed over the years. My MVP in this has to be Michael Berryman, as having loved him in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Hills Have Eyes. His performance was absolutely outstanding in this one.
He's a great actor. And I read his condition, which I am not sure how to pronounce, is why he does not have fingernails. I always thought... Yeah,
or eyebrows.
Right. I always thought that he had maybe lost a finger in an accident or something like that.
Yeah.
But no, he just does not have fingernails.
Yeah, it's a condition. I forget what it was, but yeah.
It's something I can't pronounce, something dysplasia. The only thing I can pronounce out of it is dysplasia, and I haven't done that listening. I haven't done that thing where you can hear the definition.
I might be able, if I had it in front of me, I might be able to pronounce it, at least try to. But
yeah.
Tangentially, if you're watching it, what did you make of Ratched? I haven't watched it yet. So the one from the Nurse Ratched from One Flew, that Netflix
I haven't
series.
Seen it.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any of that. So I'm interested in it because I feel like Nurse Ratched is the sort of runaway favorite from that movie, and I believe she won the Oscar for that.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did.
So,
Louise Fletcher. Yeah,
Louise Fletcher won the Oscar, so I think it's a good concept to have the story, like her story, because I think everybody found themselves really liking that character.
Yeah, it's kind of like giving Hannibal Lecter a TV series. Go figure, and which was amazing.
Or giving Will Graham a TV series.
That too. Yeah.
I would have. I would love to see a.
Well, that's what Hannibal was, essentially the Will and Hannibal show.
It was the Will and Hannibal show, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I think it's probably better than the. I don't know. Did you ever see Mary Riley with Julia?
No, I haven't seen that one. I saw Julia Roberts.
God, why couldn't I think of her name for a second there? Julia Roberts.
We haven't really thought about her much since the 90s. That's fair.
Oh well,
Yeah.
I absolutely adore.
Yeah. Julia Roberts.
Aaron Brockovich.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good movie. I'll give you that.
Well, I love revenge stories, and it's a great revenge story. So.
And it's a true story. So yeah.
And, yeah, exactly. But that Mary Riley story where she is Dr. Jekyll's maid.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the Dr. Jekyll story told by her, like how she's watching what happens with him.
Her perspective, her POV.
Yeah, I think this is probably much better than that because we already know and like this character a lot more. Yeah. So.
But I know that Sarah Paulson stars in Ratched, and I love her on American Horror Story.
There's nothing she can't do. Yeah. I love Sarah Paulson.
She is fantastic. Nick gives us 8 out of 10 stigmata.
Okay.
And he says, stay wonderful and as always, my dear friends. Yours always, Smoking Man. DJ Nick.
You really should stop that.
It bugs you when I do that, doesn't it?
No, I mean Nick should stop smoking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about my impression of Nick.
No. I mean, I got a sick father, and everybody needs to stop smoking because I'm.
You're sensitive to that.
I'm living the consequences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I get that. I think if anybody's entitled, it's certainly you to feel that way. Mm-hmm. And hope your dad improves somewhat.
He's been good. He's been staying home. The only thing he's seen outside of the house is the drive up at Swenson's and the drive through at Rally's. I mean, he's staying inside, so
that's good.
He's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Obviously, he's going to be very vulnerable to that right now.
Oh, yes.
Slightly.
Yes.
And so I get that. And obviously, with my own 80-year-old parents, I definitely sympathize.
You get it. Yeah.
I get it.
How it works.
Oh, yeah. So if you want to be like, hey, Jesse, Holly, and Nick, then please do.
You should be. You want to be like all of them.
Right. We're getting to the point where we can almost do like an entire podcast just with the mail, the Gmail.
The Gmail.
But that's okay, because that's cool. Contact us at ghostwoodpodcast@gmail.com. Ghostwoodpodcast@gmail.com.
Oh, the Gmail. Oh, the Gmail.
That's a catchy beat. I like it. The system is down.
System is down.
The cheat is grounded.
Is grounded. Oh.
I love that. I think that's my all-time favorite.
Soda.
I think that's my all-time favorite Strong Bad email.
No.
Strong Bad Techno. It's my all-time favorite.
No.
That's my all-time favorite.
Well, it's definitely not mine.
Okay, what's your favorite?
Trogdor!
Oh, yeah. Well, that's up there, too, yeah.
Trogdor was a man.
He's the
He was a dragon man.
Burninating the countryside.
Burninating the peasants.
Yeah, that's it.
Burninating all the people in the thatch roof cottages. Thatch roof cottages.
Podcast soulmate, I'm just telling you.
And the Trogdor comes in the night. So, yeah. Trogdor was like the greatest thing I'd ever seen.
She gets me. All right. You can also reach us at Ghostwoodcast on Twitter, or Ghostwood the Twin Peaks Podcast on the Facebook.
On the Twitter and the Facebook.
And the Twitter and the Facebook. Or Xan, where can they reach you?
On the Twitter and the Instagrams as Udanax19, and on the Facebook as Xan Sprouse. And if you want to hear me talk about Oscar-winning movies with DJ Nick,
Hell yeah, you do.
And you do, trust me. You want to head on over to Gold Standards, the Oscars podcast, and you can hear us do that. And that is also on the Facebook.
With the DJ Nick.
With the DJ.
All right. Yeah. And as for me, of course, at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter, at Charles Skaggs on the Instagrams. Facebook, of course, Charles Skaggs in Hilliard, Ohio, and my blog of geeky things.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Oh, what happened?
Damn good coffee and hot.
I got glitchy there on me for a second.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You just did the breathing, and then I couldn't hear anything else.
That's okay. It'll come through on my side. So I'm the one recording.
That
so
works.
That works. Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah.
I can do it again if you want.
By the way, Charles, the Skype was only glitchy a couple of times.
Right.
And I have my new super fast internet, so I'm saying that the glitching is your fault.
Well, it's improved glitching.
Any remaining glitching is your fault.
Probably. I was kind of wondering. So
I feel like the glitching has always been a co-effort, and now I'm really thinking that that's the case.
Well, I appreciate that, and now I need to do something about that.
Well, what do you know?
No. I've been thinking I need to get rid of my, take my modem back to Spectrum anyway and say, hey, give me a better modem, you boneheads.
Yeah, better modem and faster internet, jerk faces.
Yeah. So, Spectrum! I'll shakes fist.
Pay you, but I need it.
Yeah. But, Damn Good Coffee and Hot, where I talk about all the stuff we talk about here, your Twin Peaks, your David Lynch, your X-Files, all kinds of comic book sci-fi news, and news of my other podcasts for Southgate Media, including... Deep breath. Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast that I do with Jesse Jackson and various special guest companions, including a certain Xan Sprouse.
And occasionally...
DJ Nick, or occasionally Holly Mack. Yep. Noticing a trend here. I am. So please check that out. And we talk Doctor Who, Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures. And then, of course, the Phantom Zone podcast that I also do with Jesse, where we talk comic book TV shows. We just wrapped up. We did an Umbrella Academy Season 1 recap special, and also we did Stargirl, and talking maybe DJ Nick and I are going to be talking The Boys Season 2 here shortly.
Okay.
So that should be fun. And then Titan Talk, the Titans podcast that I also just did with DJ Nick, where we talked Doom Patrol Season 2, and right now it's kind of on hiatus as we wait Titans Season 3 and hopefully Doom Patrol Season 3 starting production soon. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, you got some time.
Yeah, we got a little wait on that one. So
yep.
Time for other podcasts, I guess.
That's right.
That's right. So everybody, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you guys, especially you guys writing in. So love to hear from you. Next time on Ghostwood, episode 86, as we talk Sanguinarium. Our sixth and final Twin Peaks actors who have appeared on the X-Files episode review.
Yep.
So this is it, the last of the X-Files. This time we're going to be talking Sanguinarium, which features Richard Beymer, who, of course, is known to
Big Ben.
us Twin Peaks aficionados as Benjamin Horne,
Brother Ben.
brother to Jerry.
Father to Audrey and Johnny. Grandfather to Richard.
I think I'm high.
Yes.
Jerry, what are you doing here?
Grandfather to Richard.
Grandfather Richard.
Paramour at one time to Donna Hayward's mom.
Former husband to Sylvia.
Possible paramour to Ashley Judd.
Yeah. Maybe. Beverly, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You never know.
yeah, considering how her husband was declining, I'm going to put money on that.
Yeah, I think maybe something.
Anyway. But although Ben was pretty resistant there for a while.
Ben, there's some glimmer of good in Benjamin Horne. I think he needs to start the carrots back up again.
I was going to say, maybe he's munching a few carrot sticks before he said that. But
Maybe he's doing carrot sticks off screen. I
Yeah.
think is the deal.
So, anyway, we're going to be talking Richard Berryman in 2 weeks. So, Sanguinarium, I know everybody's been loving our X-Files episodes. I know I've loved talking.
It's been fun.
It's been a lot of fun. So, we'll see what happens after that. But we've got some plans after what we're going to do, and we'll reveal those next episode because we're going to make you wait for it.
I see plans within plans, Charles.
Mm-hmm. I see
You behind them.
I see 2 great houses. House Skaggs, House Sprouse. All right, so everybody thinks
Neither of us really wants the Duke's son killed, though. We're much more pacifistic than that.
We'll have somebody else do it. So
Yeah, that's a job for the Guild. The Guild can deal with that.
they've got assassins, that's what make them work for a living.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Ghostwood 86 Sanguinarium. It's going to be a blast, just as tonight was. We'll see you next time right here on Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast. Goodbye, everybody. We made this.